A very warm welcome to Raj IAS Academy. Am I audible to everyone? Am I audible to everyone? Please type yes in the chat box. A very good afternoon, Kaveri, Yamandeep. What about everyone else? All right. Okay, good afternoon, Anu. So, let's begin with this session now. So, those of you who have been following these current affairs for quite some time now, I want to tell you all that these current affairs are very much important, and the questions from our videos, they are appearing in our examinations also. Okay, for example, this Sunday on 24th of July, there was a paper of Haryana Civil Services, and there was a question related to this. Reserve Bank of India raised the repo rate by 40 basis points in May 2022. Now consider the following statements. Repo rates are increased to control inflation. With increase in repo rates, cost of borrowing money also increases. With reduction in repo rates, industry gets loans at higher rates from the lender, and to decrease money supply in the economy, the RBI hikes up repo rates to encourage banks from borrowing funds. Okay. So we have studied this topic, these concepts in detail, and the exact topic that has appeared in the Haryana Civil Services examination. So for those of you who have been following this current affairs, I want you all to answer this question, and then we'll move towards the questions and the current affairs topics of this week. Please try to answer in the chat box this question, because these are from our previous videos. So Kanu is saying A. Repo rates are increased to control inflation. Is this a correct statement? Okay, yes. With increase in repo rate, cost of borrowing money increases. ये भी सही है, हमने पढ़ा है. Okay. With reduction in repo rates, industry get loans at higher rates from the lender. If repo rate increases, naturally the interest rate will also increase, and thus the cost of borrowing for the industries, they will also increase. So the rates at which industry will get loans will increase. Okay, if the repo rate is increasing, and if the repo rate is decreasing, then it will come down. So the third statement is wrong here. And the fourth statement, to decrease money supply in the economy, RBI hikes up the repo rates. We discussed this in very much detail, that to reduce the money supply in the economy, repo rates are hiked, and hence the answer is 1 and 2 only. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's move forward. The banks are not encouraged for borrowing funds if the repo rate is increasing. Okay, so that is why, Rohit, the fourth statement is wrong. So let's move forward with the current affairs of this week. So for this week we are going to cover 3 important current affairs, and the first is related to the remittances that India receives. Okay. The second current affair is related to the digital banks, that is based on the Niti Aayog report that has been released recently for setting up a digital banking ecosystem. And the third is central bank digital currency. We will be seeing here what are central bank digital currency, what are its advantages and what are its disadvantages. Okay, so let's move first with the India top remittance recipient in 2021. So dear students, India has a significant presence of its diaspora across the world, be it the Gulf countries, I beg your pardon, be it the Gulf countries, be it the North America, Canada and USA, be it the Caribbean nations, where the Indians, they migrated because of the indentured labor before 1947. So there is a significant presence of Indian diaspora across the world, and they are working there, and they send money back to our country to their families. And this is what is the concept of remittance, that they are working in some other country but they are sending some money or some in-kind goods to their families situated in India only. And this is the concept of remittance. Okay. So India has a significant presence. As per the United Nations report of 2021, it was said that 18 million Indians are living outside the place of their birth, that is India, and most of these are in UAE, USA, Saudi Arabia. Okay. So Gulf countries as well as North America has a significant presence of our population there. And one more thing to note here is that USA is giving out major contribution to the remittance receipts in our country. About 20% of the remittances which India receives are from USA only. Okay, so this is one more fact related to this. Now let's go more into the detail. The first we see why it has been in news, because of the recently released report by the World Health Organization, which says that India beats China as top recipient of remittances with $87 billion. Now $87 billion, this figures assume significance. Why? Because of the COVID crisis, it was assumed that it will decrease. However, due to some reasons, the remittances, they actually increased for the year. Okay, so they beat our expectations regarding the decrease of remittances. And anyway, India is the top remittance receiving country across the world with $87 billion. This World Health Organization report, before this there was a World Bank report previous year that said the same data, that India is the top recipient of remittances with $87 billion. Okay. Okay. There is a question, our market is open, so why we had banned Chinese company from bidding in 5G spectrum? That is regarding the internal security of the country, that because of security reasons. Okay, so that is outside the scope of our lecture here. Let's focus here. What are remittances? Okay, when migrants send home part of their earnings, we already discussed, when migrants, that they are working outside the country and they are sending part of their income back to their families in India in either cash or goods to support their families, these transfers are known as workers or migrant remittances. Okay, they have been growing rapidly in the past few years and now represent largest source of foreign income for many developing economies. Now think about it. There are remittances being received, remittances to the tune of $87 billion. $87 billion. Now think about it. How is it going to benefit our economy? $87 billion are coming into our country. It means there is an inflow of dollars. There is an inflow of dollars which will help in supporting Indian rupee. So we can use these dollars to control the weakening of Indian rupee as well. So remittances are important in that way also. Okay. A typical remittance transaction takes place in 3 steps. The migrant pays the remittance to the sending agent using cash, check, money in their country only, such as USA, such as UAE, such as Saudi Arabia. Okay. The sending agency instructs its agent in the recipient's country to deliver the remittances. The paying agent makes the payment to the beneficiary and hence the payment is received by the family of that migrant. Okay. Now, more on this because there has been a report released by the World Health Organization which says that today around 1 in 8 people in the world, they are migrants. Okay, so there is a population of around 8 billion. 8 billion people are now living in our world and around 1 in 8 people are migrants, that is 1 billion, which is a very significant figure that you can use in your social issues answer or you can use it in your essay writing also. Okay, top 5 remittance recipients, this is important from the prelims point of view. So the top 5 remittance recipient are India, it is followed by China, then Mexico, then Philippines, and then Egypt. Okay, this is important from the point of view of prelims examination. Now key contributing factors, I told you that there was an expectation that due to COVID the remittances will be decreasing, but they increased to $87 billion, and the contributing factors are willingness of migrant to support their families in times of crisis. Okay, and the countries like USA, Canada, they also offloaded fiscal stimulus to the people, to their citizens and the people working there, which also helped the migrants in sending money to their home and family. Okay, so this is the reason that the report highlights that why the remittances actually increased in 2021. Okay, now remittance, where do they stand? We already know about the balance of payment. Okay, balance of payment, it consists of two accounts. First is the current accounts यानी कि चालू खाता, and the second is the capital account यानी कि पूंजी खाता. Current account is related to the incomes of the country. The capital account is related to the asset and liabilities of the country. Okay, now इसी current account को we can divide. Trade in goods, when we are sending out some items, when we are exporting some items such as brass products, such as wooden crafts, we are exporting these, and imports such as oil and gas products. So these are trade in goods. Then there are trade in services like banking services, tourism services. Okay, so we are not concerned with trade in goods here, we are not concerned with trade in services here. What we are concerned here is the transfer payments part, because transfer payment are one-sided payment. Okay, for trade in goods it is two-sided. For example, you are exporting a brass product to USA, okay, and you are receiving dollars for that. So it is a two-way transaction. But transfer payments, they are one-way transaction. For example, there is a migrant and there is a family. The migrant is located in US and family is located in India, and they are sending some money, some dollars to their family in India. Now the family is not sending them something back. Okay, if they are sending, there is an exception, but usually it is a one-sided payment, and hence they are called transfer payment, and thus they form part of the current account of the balance of payment system. It is very important to remember that remittance, they fall under the current account, not capital account. I'll also show you what falls under the capital account. Capital account is generally related to assets and liabilities of the country. Okay, assets and liabilities of the country. So there is investment, there is borrowing, and there is external assistance. Investment में आएगा direct investment like foreign direct investment, and indirect meaning foreign portfolio investment, and then there is external borrowings like the company in India is borrowing from someone in USA, some institution in USA, then that is called external commercial borrowing. And then there are external assistance like the multilateral loans that the country borrow from institutions like World Bank, IMF, etc. Okay, so this is the capital account. What we are concerned with the transfer payment part of the current account when we are talking about remittances. Please type yes in the chat box if you are understanding here until here. Neil is asking, liability means, liability is something that you owe. Okay, that creates an obligation. For example, if you are taking a loan today, then you have to repay the principal amount, and then you have to also pay the interest, the monthly interest. Now that loan is a liability to you because you have an obligation to pay that back. Okay. Okay. Now we will be seeing some previous year questions related to this topic. So try to attempt this. Which of the following constitute capital account? Read the question. Which of the following constitute capital account? Foreign loans, foreign direct investment, private remittances और portfolio investment. हमारे पास चार ऑप्शन है Please try to find out the answer. You can easily find it out using the details provided in this session. Please try to answer. अब इतने इजी क्वेश्चन नहीं आते हैं, बट हमें तो देखने हैं, तो यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चन. सो कन्नू इज सेइंग बी 1, 2 and 4, यानी कि फॉरेन लोन्स, फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हाट अबाउट अदर्स? रोहित इज सेइंग बी, यमनदीप इज सेइंग बी. What about others? Kaveri is saying B. Try to answer this question. Richa, that is outside the scope of this lecture. Neil is saying B. Manisha is saying B. Okay, I think everyone who wanted to answer have answered it till now. Yes, the correct answer is B. So if you had given this exam in 2013, you would have gained 2 marks. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. It came pretty recently in 2019. In the context of India, which of the following factor is our contributors to the reducing risk of currency crisis? Contribute, इसमें S नहीं आना था. So in the context of India, which of the following factor is contributors to the reducing risk of currency crisis? Currency crisis क्या है? Basically currency crisis that we are facing it right now. ये क्वेश्चन 2019 में आया है. This question came in 2019, but it is relevant even today. The currency crisis is basically weakening of rupee, downfall of rupee. Okay, so try to answer this question. Which of the following factor are contributor to reducing the risk of currency crisis, meaning strengthening of the rupee. इसमें बेसिकली ये पूछ रहा है कि कौन से ऐसे फैक्टर्स हैं जो रुपी को स्ट्रेंथन करने वाले हैं. So the first is the foreign currency earnings of India's IT sector. The second is increasing the government expenditure, and third is remittances from the Indians abroad. Okay, thank you so much, Richa. So the first is the foreign currency earning of India's IT sector. Foreign currency earning of India's IT sector यानी कि डॉलर्स इंडिया में आ रहे हैं. So इससे क्या होगा? रुपी वीक होगा या स्ट्रेंथन होगा? आंसर मी दिस. लेट्स मूव कॉन्सेप्ट वाइज. Will the rupee weaken or will it get strengthened if dollars are coming into India? Be quick. Neil is saying strengthen. Very good. Jeet is also saying strengthen. What about others? What about others? Will it weaken or will it strengthen? Supply of dollar increase, it will appreciate rupee. Yes, Kannu always answer with concept. Anju is saying B. Okay. So you are saying that the rupee will strengthen. Okay. Now increasing the government expenditure. Increasing the government expenditure, it is a very technical statement. Now if the government expenditure is increasing, the money supply in the market will increase. In any way, because the government is making expenditures, there will be money in the economy and hence the value of rupee will decrease and hence it will weaken. Okay. Okay. So hence rupee will weaken here. Remittance from Indians abroad. Remittance आएंगी बाहर से तो क्या आएगा? डॉलर्स आ रहे हैं इंडिया में. So will the rupee strengthen or will it get weaken? Money supply will increase, promote imports. Okay, good. So Jeet is saying strengthen, Kannu is saying strengthen. Okay, so that is why the correct answer to this question is B, यानी कि 1 and 3 only. Okay. So far the concepts of whoever is watching this video, they are very good. and my job is to strengthen those concepts only, lay down a strong foundation. Okay, so that is why we are discussing previous year questions. Okay, so the answer to this question is B. So we have discussed about the first news, that is India has been a top remittance receiving country in 2021. Now let's move on to the next news, the digital banks. What are digital banks? Digital banks, they are a kind of amalgamation of two things, financial plus technology, यानी कि fintech plus financial inclusion. अब financial inclusion क्या होता है? Try to tell me in the chat box, what is financial inclusion? What is financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is basically increasing the accessibility and affordability to the financial products for industrialists as well as common people like you and me. Okay, meaning it has to increase its reach, accessibility and affordability so that people can easily access credit. So if there is an interest rate of going 15% from a bank, it is not affordable to take that loan. So if a loan is of 5%, 7%, then it is affordable. Then it will increase financial inclusion. Then it will encourage people to take loans and start their own ventures, be entrepreneurs. Okay, so that is what financial inclusion is. अब फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन को बढ़ाना है, हमें उसकी रीच बढ़ानी है और हमें उसकी एक्सेसिबिलिटी बढ़ानी है प्लस उसकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी बढ़ानी है. तो उसके लिए हम लाए टेक्नोलॉजी लाए. व्हेन वी bring technology, I don't know if you can see it from here. So when we bring technology with finance, with the financial world, what happens is that their cost of operation, it reduces. Think about it, if a bank is totally digital in nature, then there would be no need to rent a space, to build an office. You can totally operate in the virtual world. So the cost that you will be making towards the banking will be about the app, about the internet. Okay, internet, but their cost overall will decrease and hence the affordability for the people, for the products, they will increase. So this is what financial inclusion is. And when we bring together financial technology yani ki fintech, then we get digital banks. This is what the concept of digital bank is all about. So the digital banks, they have been in news because Niti Aayog recently released a report, regulatory framework needed for promoting digital banks. So Niti Aayog wants that we should be promoting digital banks. Okay, so let's see what digital banks are. What are digital bank? Now, as per the Niti Aayog report, a digital bank would be a bank defined in the Banking Regulation Act. It will have a proper backing of the Banking Regulation Act. So if it is defined under the Banking Regulation Act, it essentially means that the Reserve Bank of India would be able to regulate digital banking ecosystem in our country. Okay, it is banking done through digital platform, doing away with all the paperwork like checks, like pay-in slips, like demand drafts. Okay, it also means that all the banking activities will be available online. Okay, the shift from traditional to digital banking has been gradual and remains ongoing. इसलिए नीति आयोग ये चीज अपनी रिपोर्ट में हाईलाइट कर रहा है कि we should be accelerating the pace of this shift from traditional to the digital banking ecosystem. Okay, so this is what the Niti Aayog wants to increase the digital banking need of our country. Okay, now what are the advantages? The very first advantage that I told you before, it is that it saves effort and time where the customer can conduct banking activity. Now you don't have, I beg your pardon, you don't have to go to your nearest branch to conduct any banking activity. You can simply use an application and transfer money. Okay, okay. So yes, sir, Paytm, PhonePe and other apps are part of it. Yes, it is a part of financial technology only. Ki Paytm, PhonePe, they are unified payment interfaces, na? Okay, but we are talking about whole bank that is available virtually. अभी भी क्या होता है कि आपका इफ यू हैव एन अकाउंट विद SBI देन यू आर यूजिंग इट्स ऐप, बट देयर इज अ बैंक दैट हैज इट्स फिजिकल प्रेजेंस आल्सो, नो, but we are talking about totally digital bank that is available online. Okay, have you heard about the neobank? If you have not heard about the neobank, that you may google it. It is somewhat related to this only. Anyway, our scope here is digital banking, so we will be talking about that only. So the first is that it will save time and effort. Then there will be ease of banking transactions, meaning that banking transaction will be totally digital in nature, they will be totally virtual in nature, and hence there will be certain ease in that. Then there will be, in addition to the reliability of cash flow and speed of cash flow, it provides higher security and lower risk of check manipulation. Okay, since there will be no checks issued, there will be only virtual transactions, then there will be higher security with respect to the fraudulent checks that has been issued. Okay, reducing reliance on paper forms as well as transactions are done electronically. Again, reducing reliance on paperwork. So the idea here is to move everything online and hence save time, money and efforts. Okay, it is easy. What are the disadvantages? The disadvantages of anything that is available online, there is a one generic disadvantage, that there is an issue of cyber security. Okay, people like you and me, our age group, we know how to operate applications. Okay, we know how to operate application, we know how to transfer money using our mobile phones. But think about senior citizens who have not been exposed to that digital financial literacy. So think about it, they will be exposed to cyber frauds, and hence anything that is going online, there is one generic disadvantage, that there may be an issue of cyber security. Cyber security का एक issue generic होगा, दूसरा issue क्या आएगा? What would be the second issue? The second issue would be the availability of internet across India. See, internet and electricity, they are not easily accessible all across India. So we are moving forward at a very high pace to electrify the whole of the country, to make internet reach every part of the country. But still there are some locations where internet is not reliable in nature. Okay, so हमें इसका भी ध्यान रखना है कि what is the digital reach? What is the digital reach of internet? And the third generic thing that is related to online only, that is the what is the digital literacy of the people. Are the people digitally literate to use applications as well as online portals on their computers? So the digital literacy is also something of a generic disadvantage when you are talking about something that is going online, that is digitizing. So let's see what are the disadvantages related to the digital banks. It is easy to fall prey to fraudulent transactions. Okay, fraudulent cyber frauds, we already talked about that. The professional computer technician can access account or copy another person's information. Okay, so it is related to right to privacy. The right to privacy may get violated if there is a cyber security breach of the system of that bank. Then digital banking forums are also prone to vulnerabilities like hacks, cyber security का component आ गया, and increase the gap that arises between the client and the bank. So the client is located somewhere and the bank is totally virtual in nature. So there is no interpersonal interaction between the client and the bank. Okay, so these are some disadvantages. Now the same report of the Niti Aayog, it talked something on the financial inclusion front as well. It said that there is a rise in financial inclusion. Rise in financial inclusion because of schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Do you guys remember Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana when it was launched? In which year it was launched? It was launched in 2014. Okay, and the main purpose of this scheme was to increase the financial inclusion in our country by helping opening up of bank accounts all across India. Jan Dhan accounts, they were called. Okay, so the first thing is that related to financial inclusion. Then the second thing is Jam Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile. Jan Dhan जो आपका अकाउंट है, आधार जो आपकी KYC में मदद कर रही है, नो योर कस्टमर वाली रेगुलेशन में हो गया, और मोबाइल यानी कि आप मोबाइल के थ्रू ट्रांजैक्शन कर सकते हैं. तो ये जो ट्रिनिटी तैयार हुई है, इट हैज ग्रेटली इंक्रीज फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन इन आवर कंट्री. ओके, देन UPI enabled digital transactions. UPI enabled digital transactions. Digital transactions like abhi Richa was saying, Paytm, PhonePe, these are part of digital transactions and they have increased so tremendously. Now the economy is becoming cashless in nature. You are not carrying cash, you are carrying your mobile and you are scanning the QR code and paying for whatever you have purchased. So ये हमें देखने में आ रहा है कि यूपीआई के ट्रांजैक्शंस भी काफी बढ़ गए हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल यूपीआई लॉन्च्ड इन 2016 वाज द बेलवेदर इनेबलिंग रियल टाइम पेमेंट सिस्टम क्लॉकिंग $4 ट्रिलियन ट्रांजैक्शंस टिल डेट. $4 ट्रिलियन के ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑलरेडी अभी तक हम क्लॉक कर चुके हैं यूपीआई के थ्रू, यूनिफाइड पेमेंट इंटरफेस के थ्रू. एंड देन देयर इज डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर. डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर लाइक स्कीम्स, उज्ज्वला स्कीम, and then there is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Yojana, where there is a transfer of ₹6,000 annually to the accounts of farmers. So ये direct benefit transfer करें, it is also encouraging the financial inclusion in our country because the transfer of benefits, it is totally digital in nature. That is going into the bank accounts of the relevant beneficiaries and we are not handing out them money in form of cash. We are transferring into their bank accounts. So they have to open bank accounts for that and hence the financial inclusion has increased due to this also. ठीक है? Now let's attempt a question from 2015 again. अब इतने आसान क्वेश्चंस तो आने से रहे बट हमें प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन करने हैं. सो लेट्स अटेम्प्ट. प्रधानमंत्री जन धन योजना has been launched for A. Providing housing loan to poor people at cheaper interest rates. B. Promoting women's self-help groups in backward areas. Women's self-help groups in backward areas. Third is promoting financial inclusion in the country. And fourth is providing financial help to the marginalized community. Now answer this question. It's very easy. 2015 के prelims में आया था ये. What would be the answer of this question? Type in the chat box. So Neil is saying C, Kaveri C, Anju C, Jeet C, Kannu C. Financial inclusion basically means increasing the accessibility, Richa. It means increasing the accessibility and affordability of the products and financial services. मतलब इसमें खाली ट्रांजैक्शन ही इंक्लूड नहीं होगा, इसमें आपके बैंक्स के जो है एफडी फिक्स डिपॉजिट्स इंक्लूड हो जाएंगे, इसमें आपको लोन्स इंक्लूड हो जाएंगे. जितनी भी आपके फाइनेंशियल प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, आप बैंक में जाते हैं, व्हेन यू गो इनटू अ बैंकिंग ब्रांच, देन यू सी व्हाट आर द फाइनेंशियल प्रोडक्ट्स दैट आर अवेलेबल विद दैट ब्रांच. When you see that you can afford them and you can easily access them, then it means that the financial inclusion in the country is increasing. When the poorest of the poor can approach a bank branch and take a loan or deposit their money into the savings bank account or current account, then it means that financial inclusion in the country is increasing. So the basic is this only. What about others? Answer this question please. Archana is saying C. Rohit is saying C. So I think almost everyone has answered this question and the answer of everyone is correct. Answer of everyone. It is so proud feeling that answer of everyone present here is correct. The answer is C only. Okay. Now let's move on to the next news. So far we have discussed about remittances and we have discussed about digital banks. Now we will be discussing something along the digital lines of financial world, okay, and that will include central bank digital currency. Central bank digital currency. So how many of you have heard about the cryptocurrencies? Have you heard about bitcoins? I really hope most of you have heard about bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency. They are being so popular. Even in the budget of 2022-23, that is this budget only, there was a event related to, there was a tax imposed on the transaction of these cryptocurrencies. Yes, Yes, yes. So almost everyone of you are aware about this cryptocurrencies. तो देखो cryptocurrency आई market में. So the cryptocurrencies, they emerged as a viable solution. They emerged as a viable solution to the traditional fiat currencies, to the traditional currency like the bank notes. जैसे 200 रुपीज का नोट्स ले लो, 200 रुपी का नोट. ओके, सो cryptocurrency आई, it emerged as a viable alternative to this 200 rupee note or any amount of note. Okay, Neil is saying 30% tax, 1%. Yeah, yes, on transactions. Good. So the cryptocurrencies, they emerged as a viable alternative. अब जब ऑल्टरनेटिव आया तो ऑल्टरनेटिव किसका आया? हमारी ट्रेडिशनल करेंसी का, हमारे इंडियन रुपी नोट का या फिर यूएस डॉलर के नोट का. सो व्हाट हैपेंड दैट द सेंट्रल बैंक्स, दे बिकेम वरीड because these are sovereign banked currencies, the Indian rupee note, the US dollar note, and these cryptocurrencies, they are not basically backed by any asset. So they became concerned that such a thing may not happen, that these cryptocurrencies become more useful to people as a point of transaction than the Indian rupee note or the US dollar note. Okay, okay. So ये चीज हुई तो अब सेंट्रल बैंक ने क्या सोचा? If you cannot go against the forces, then join them. Then central banks they thought that we should release our own digital currency. We should release our own digital currency that is sovereign backed, plus it represents a liability on the balance sheet of the central bank. So central bank digital currency is nothing. कोई भी बड़ी बात नहीं है. सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी इज ओनली द डिजिटाइज्ड वर्जन ऑफ द रुपी नोट्स दैट यू एंड मी नो यूज, बट इट इज जस्ट डिजिटाइज्ड इन नेचर. अब देखो मैंने आपको क्या चीज पहली बताई कि इट इज जस्ट डिजिटाइज्ड नेचर ऑफ द रुपी नोट दैट यू एंड आई यूज. बट you may say that how is it different from the balance that I have in my bank account? Like you can open up your bank application and you can see that you have such and such amount in your bank, and you may think that I can transfer this also. It is also a kind of digital currency, but no, that is a digital transaction. When you make a digital transaction, what essentially occurs is that there are two banks. For example, you are sending some money, you are person A and you are sending it to B. Then what is essentially happening is that the balance will be debited from your account and credited to the account of the person to whom you are sending the money. So this is a digital transaction. This is not digital currency. Okay, digital currency is the digitized form of the fiat currency that you and I use, like 200 rupee note, like 500 rupee note, like 2000 rupee note. Okay, तो ये उसका बस डिजिटाइज्ड वर्जन है और यही इसका बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है. इसमें ज्यादा कुछ सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं है हमें. ये डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन है. इट इज डिफरेंट थिंग. ओके, तो ये चीज हुई. अब आपके क्या कहते हैं, अलग अलग क्रिप्टो करेंसी ऑलरेडी मार्केट में है. सो द सेंट्रल बैंक्स थॉट दैट वी शुड बी रिलीजिंग आवर ओन सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी. ओके, so now let's see more about this and what is the news related to it. CBDC introduction in phased manner for wholesale retail is in the works. So CBDC introduction for wholesale means that the transaction that are occurring at a very high level between different central banks or between different banks, and retail level CBDC would mean that you and I can use that CBDC to make some transaction or buy some product. तो ये चीज है होलसेल सीबीडीसी और रिटेल सीबीडीसी का अंतर. और न्यूज में ये इसलिए है क्योंकि आरबीआई प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं कि सीबीडीसी का इंट्रोडक्शन हम कैसे कर सकते हैं. सो लेट्स नो मोर अबाउट दिस सीबीडीसी. ओके, let's know more about this CBDC. What is CBDC? It has been talked about in this year budget as well. In the budget of 2022-23, the finance minister Honorable Nirmala Sitharaman ji and made necessary amendments to the relevant section of RBI Act of 1934, okay, so that the CBDC introduction can be made easier. It can be made more statutory backed. It is a legal tender and a central bank liability. Central bank liability कैसे, कोई बता सकता है ये? How is it a central bank liability? Can anyone tell? It is very logical. Look at any note. Look at any bank note, and you will find a line written there. I promise to pay the bearer. Who is promising to pay the bearer? And किसके सिग्नेचर होते हैं उसके नीचे? किसके सिग्नेचर होते हैं उसके नीचे? Who is promising? So there is a line, no, I promise to pay the bearer of this banknote. तो इसका मतलब हमारा रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया is promising, our Reserve Bank of India is promising to pay such amount of money to the person who is holding that banknote. So they are promising to pay. There is an obligation. So hence it is a liability on the balance sheet of Reserve Bank of India. ठीक है? There is a liability on the Reserve Bank of India's balance sheet and digital form denominated in a sovereign currency. Sovereign currency means the currency which is issued by the central bank. Bitcoin is not issued by the central bank. Okay, it is a private cryptocurrency. Okay, it is the same as fiat currency and is exchangeable one to one with fiat currency. It can be converted at par with similarly denominated cash. अगर आपके पास 200 रुपए की CBDC है, you can convert it into a 200 rupees note as well. इसका मतलब ये है, it can be transacted using wallets and it enables user to conduct both domestic and cross border transactions which do not require third party or a bank. So if you are undertaking a cross border transaction means you are sending some money for purchasing of some product from other countries such as USA and you have a central bank digital currency of US फेडरल रिजर्व जो वहां पे इश्यू करी हो, तो आपको किसी बैंक की जरूरत नहीं है. यू कैन इजीली पे यूजिंग द टोकन नंबर. कोई इंटरमीडियरी बीच में नहीं आएगा एंड हेंस हम कहते हैं कि द रियल टाइम ट्रांजेक्शन कैन टेक प्लेस थ्रू दिस टेक्नोलॉजी. ओके, थ्रू दिस टेक्नोलॉजी. ओके, एनीवे, CBDC enables the user and Bahamas has been the first economy to launch its nationwide CBDC जिसका नाम है Cent Dollar and Nigeria is another country जिसने roll out किया e-Naira in 2020. Okay, so this is what CBDC is. अब how is it different from private virtual currency? On two counts. It is different from private virtual currency on two counts. First is that the private virtual currency is not sovereign backed, while the central bank digital currency is sovereign backed currency. The second is that it reflects a liability on the side of the issuer. The Bitcoin, it does not reflect a liability on the account of the issuer. So एक liability का point आ गया और एक sovereign currency का point आ गया, जिससे differ होती है private currency, private cryptocurrency and central bank digital currency. Okay? ये दो अंतर आपको देखने को मिलेंगे जब हम इसके बारे में बात करेंगे. ओके, सो फार वी आर क्लियर नाउ. Yes, Sakshi, your comments are visible. And Richard, what is the benefit of cryptocurrency as compared to normal currency? Why it is being criticized? It is being criticized because it is being used as a speculative asset. People now are not using Bitcoin to do transactions. They are purchasing Bitcoin and storing them and selling them when the price is high. So they are using it for speculative purposes. And criticism खाली इस point पे नहीं है. Criticism is on the other point as well, such as related to money laundering or internal security, because Bitcoin इसको हम रेगुलेट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. So if there is a transfer of money through bitcoins, we are not being able to regulate them, and hence ये economic security को hamper करता है. This is why it is being criticized also. Okay. So far we have seen the difference between CBDC and private virtual currency. Now what are the advantages of CBDC? Very important. What are the advantages of CBDC? सबसे पहला है, it will increase the efficiency of transaction. Efficiency कैसे? It will save time, cost and efforts. अगेन वही चीज कि कोई इंटरमीडियरी बीच में नहीं आ रहा है, आपको किसी बैंक के बीच में जरूरत ही नहीं अगर आपको कोई ट्रांजेक्शन करना है. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल, इट वुड रिड्यूस द कॉस्ट ऑफ करेंसी मैनेजमेंट व्हाइल इनेबलिंग रियल टाइम पेमेंट्स विदाउट एनी इंटरबैंक सेटलमेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, हम एग्जांपल देखते हैं. इंडियन इंपोर्टर्स कैन पे एन अमेरिकन एक्सपोर्टर ऑन अ रियल टाइम बेसिस इन डिजिटल डॉलर्स विदाउट द नीड ऑफ एन इंटरमीडियरी. वी ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट दिस एग्जांपल, नो? एंड it would even now require that US Federal Reserve System is open. ये हमें टाइम देखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है कि हम कितने बजे ये ट्रांजेक्शन कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि सेटलमेंट कैन अकर एनी टाइम बिकॉज यू वुड बी हैविंग द यूनिक टोकन ऑफ दैट करेंसी. ओके ओके ओके, डू आस्क योर क्वेश्चन इन द कमेंट्स, साक्षी. नाउ देयर इज सेकेंड एडवांटेज, रिडक्शन इन हाई कैश यूसेज. आप ये देखेंगे जब से प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना, जब से फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की बातें शुरू हुई है, वी आर ट्राइंग टू इंक्रीज द कैशलेस इकोनॉमी इन द कंट्री बिकॉज कैशलेस इकोनॉमी कैन बी इजिली रेगुलेटेड. आप पैसे को भी स्टोर कर सकते हैं तो वो आउट ऑफ सर्कुलेशन चला जाता है, बट कैशलेस इकोनॉमी में एवरी पेनी कैन बी अकाउंटेड फॉर बिकॉज इट वुड बी स्टोर्ड समवेयर. ओके, समवेयर मीन्स समवेयर इन द बैंकिंग सिस्टम. अगर अब सीबीडीसी आ गया, सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी आ गया, तो इसका मतलब रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को ये जानकारी तो रहेगी कि कहां पे कितने पैसे, कितने का ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ. सो इसलिए भी कैशलेस इकोनॉमी प्रमोट कर रहे हैं ताकि हम ब्लैक मनी की इंपॉर्टेंस को कम कर पाए, ब्लैक मनी के इन्फ्लुएंस को कम कर पाए हमारी इकोनॉमी पे. ओके, तो सेकेंड एडवांटेज ये हो गया. द थर्ड इज अगेन कॉस्ट इफेक्टिवनेस. वी डू नॉट नीड टू प्रिंट फिजिकल मनी, ट्रांसपोर्टिंग एंड स्टोरिंग. सो लॉजिस्टिक्स के कॉस्ट हमारे फिजिकल करेंसी के कम हो जाएंगे. एंड अगेन एफिशिएंसी ऑफ बैंकिंग सिस्टम मींस द सेटलमेंट कैन अकर एनी टाइम ऑन अ रियल टाइम बेसिस and it offers various benefits also in terms of liquidity, scalability, acceptance, ease of transaction and faster settlement. So in all these parameters it would be very advantageous for the banking system to use the CBDC, but there is a catch as well. We will be seeing this at the disadvantages. Now let's move on to the disadvantages. Now suppose कि central bank digital currency introduce होगी. Let's suppose the CBDC has been introduced in India. Okay, now the CBDC has become very attractive to the people in India, and now they are buying CBDCs. Central bank digital currency they are buying. It will reflect as a liability on the side of the balance sheet of RBI. People feel that CBDC are very secure, so we should be buying CBDCs only, and we should invest in them and not store our money in the savings bank account because they offer very less interest anyway. So what would happen is that कि जो डिपॉजिट्स हैं आपके सेविंग्स बैंक अकाउंट में, बैंक्स में, there is a possibility that there is a bank run and people अपने डिपॉजिट्स को कन्वर्ट करना चाहें CBDC में. Okay, because CBDC is with the RBI and hence it is ultra secure, while deposits they are with the banks. And हम जानते हैं बैंक्स कभी फेल हो जाते हैं, rarely they do get failed. For example, there is an example of PMC bank. Okay, so people may feel that it is more secure and hence transfer their money or deposits into CBDC. अब डिपॉजिट से जब मनी चला गया CBDC में तो बैंकिंग सिस्टम के कोलैप्स का खतरा बढ़ जाता है. देयर इज अ डेंजर, देयर इज अ हैजर्ड दैट बैंकिंग सिस्टम में कोलैप्स बिकॉज इफ देयर आर नो डिपॉजिट्स विद द बैंक्स देन इट वुड मीन दैट दे कैन नॉट lend out the money and hence the whole magic of money multiplier it would nullify and it will adversely impact our Indian economy. तो पहला डेंजर तो ये रहता है कि it will disintermediate banks. Okay, now the other extreme end may also happen that there is a low user adoption, यानी कि लोग हो सकता है अडॉप्ट ही ना करें, उन्हें समझ ही ना आए कि हम इनको कैसे यूज करें. तो दूसरा डिसएडवांटेज इसका ये हो सकता है. थर्ड, मैंने आपको पिछले में भी बताया, whenever we are talking about something digital then you can generically use cyber security in that answer. कि cyber security का खतरा हमेशा उस चीज से रिलेटेड रहेगा if we are talking about something that is digital in nature. And then there will be operational burden and cost for the central banks because all this will be related to the central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India. Now they would have to establish a separate infrastructure for regulating central bank digital currency. तो ये इसका चौथा disadvantage हो गया. The other disadvantage will be it will also be concern for those who put their privacy before anything. Okay, because it may hamper the right to privacy of a person, because now the money can be tracked all the time. Now this is a good thing also. It is not such as a disadvantage. You can use it as an advantage also. You can say that now the money can be tracked, and hence we can control the money laundering activity in our economy. Okay, okay, so ये चीज हो गई. Data privacy threats उसी right to privacy से relate हो गया. CBDC is like shares which we can buy and whose rates are decided according to the market. No, CBDC is not like shares. Shares are equity. Shares mean that you have an ownership with the company. CBDC is nothing but the bank note but in digitized form. आपके पास जो पैसे हैं बस वो digitized form में हो आपके पास, वो है CBDC. Shares नहीं है. शेयर्स तो इक्विटी का कॉन्सेप्ट ही अलग है, वो तो मीनिंग आपके पास एक पार्ट ओनरशिप आ गई किसी चीज की, अगर आपने शेयर्स खरीद लिए किसी चीज के, वो नहीं है. ओके ओके, सो फास्टर ऑब्सोलेंस, इट मींस दैट टेक्नोलॉजी इट चेंजेस ऑन अ वेरी हाई पेस. कि आज कोई हमारे पास ब्लॉकचेन की टेक्नोलॉजी है, कल हमारे पास कोई नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ जाए तो क्या हम उसको अडॉप्ट करेंगे? तो ये एक और डिसएडवांटेज हो गया, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज होती रहती है. ओके, देन ऑपरेशनल रिस्क ऑफ इंटरमीडियरीज एज स्टाफ, ये चीज कि हमें ट्रेन करने पड़ेगा स्टाफ को. एंड देन देयर इज अ इशू ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन एंड लिटरेसी. अगेन जो हम डिजिटल बैंकिंग के साथ कर रहे थे कि विल पीपल बी एबल टू यूज CBDC, आर दे डिजिटली लिटरेट, इज देयर अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ इंटरनेट अक्रॉस द कंट्री सो दैट दे कैन यूज CBDC. तो ये एक आपका एक्सक्लूजन क्रिएट कर सकता है, एक डिवाइड क्रिएट कर सकता है. ओके, लाइक रूरल अर्बन डिवाइड आपका क्रिएट हो सकता है. Further, in nations with low financial literacy, the dependence on digital form of payment may substantially lead to an increase in fraud and financial crimes. Again, that example of senior citizen trying to use app or portal and may fall prey to a cyber fraud. ठीक है, तो ये सारे इसके disadvantages हो गए. Internet connection as well. So far we have seen the advantages and disadvantages. Now the way forward can be, you can use a pilot project approach कि थोड़ा धीरे धीरे, जो अभी रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया एक्चुअली में कर रहा है कि it is trying to introduce the currency but on a gradual pace, seeing what all the effects would be on the Indian economy. Okay, the usage should be payment focused. Payment focused means use it for transaction. Use it for transaction. You can introduce an expiry limit to that कि आपने CBDC इंट्रोड्यूस करा एंड आपने कह दिया कि आपको इतने टाइम में यूज करना है वरना ये करेंसी खत्म हो जाएगी. ये भी एक आइडिया आया है मार्केट में. ठीक है, तो आप पेमेंट फोकस रखिए इसको कि ट्रांजैक्शन की तरह यूज हो, फॉर ट्रांजैक्शन. क्रिप्टो करेंसी की तरह स्पेक्युलेटिव एसेट ना बन जाए. इट शुड नॉट एंड अप एज ए स्पेक्युलेटिव एसेट like cryptocurrency. Okay, and RBI should avoid paying interest. See, if RBI pays interest, it naturally means that people will go to CBDC instead of savings bank account. तो ये पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट था हमारा CBDC का. So we have studied about remittances, digital banks and CBDC. Now our institute is undertaking a Seize the Mains initiative, and this is the question for that only. So the question is, what is central bank digital currency? Enumerate its advantages and disadvantages. You can write the answer and submit it at the following link, www.rajisacademy.com. Okay. Also, our institute is also undertaking Himachal Pradesh Civil Services Prelims Test Series, which is free of cost. I highly encourage you all to enroll in this series. So, with this, we have reached to the end of our lecture of this session, and I hope you had a great learning experience. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you so much.